What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a very special video. I spent a lot of time making this video for you guys so you guys can get a core understanding on what DPDR and anxiety really is. Like, not what Reddit says, not what the 10 hours of Googling has taught you, but what the real answer to this question is. A lot of people say, why do I feel anxiety? Why do I feel that? And doctors will prescribe them something saying you have this, you have that. I don't believe in any of that. As someone who has had 24/7 DPDR for nearly 4 years, extreme levels of anxiety for so long, I am telling you right now, it is a choice if you can understand this one concept. And it really doesn't matter how bad your case is. I've helped people fully recover after 10 plus years, 6 years, 1 year. Doesn't matter how long you've had it, 1 month, 2 weeks. You can apply this and understand it, because before you could even get into the rewiring aspect, you need to understand what you need to rewire in the things you're doing throughout your day. In this video, I'm going to be showing you way more than anyone else will teach you about DPDR. I'm going to be showing you exactly what anxiety is, why you experience it, how your highest self is literally signaling, calling down to you. The future version of you is calling you to change your lifestyle in order to become in line. I'm going to be showing you exactly what this lifestyle you need to morph into is, and exactly how we are going to be doing it. The education is so important as well, because you're no longer scared of the feeling. You're no longer sitting there uncomfortable to your DPDR, questioning if you're the exception. You're no longer questioning if you're going to be normal again. Now you know. Now you're 100% certain, and now you can go apply to actually transform. So I'm proud of you for taking the step, actually clicking on this video so you can change your life. Make sure you watch the next 20 minutes with full focus attention, because if you can't make it 20 minutes of this video, I don't even know if you have any chance to recover. Like, you need your attention span, and you need to sit there and apply. So sit there, take notes, and the more detailed notes you can take, the better. What I'm about to tell you in the next 20 minutes is so valuable. If I would have had it in the last like 3 years, I would have saved 3 years from my life. So this is truthfully how anxiety is a sign of misalignment from you, and how you can get back on track to become in line with your highest self and dissipate all anxiety and DPDR from your life. So make sure you guys watch this video the whole way through. I'll see ya. Welcome to the truth about anxiety and DPDR. This is truly how to actually recover and reclaim your life. You see so many things online. I know so many people spend hours and hours Googling, trying to find the real answer, trying to find the secret. And that was what I did personally. I would spend so much time trying to find some hidden secret. But this is nothing held back. This is the true answer. Like, this is why you have anxiety. Not on a level of what doctors will tell you or what will pop up online. Like, this is the truth about anxiety and DPDR and why it stays within us. So make sure you guys are taking notes and actually implementing this, because information without implementation doesn't mean shit. You got to be able to apply what I'm telling you. So let's start off with what anxiety is first. Because before we can even talk about derealization, depersonalization, we need to talk about anxiety, because it's not just a mental health issue, and it's not something you're born with, but it's a signal. It's a signal. It's almost like your higher self. So imagine your higher self existing, watching your every single move, knowing the future, knowing the purpose, knowing who you could become. This version is you in the future, your higher self. It's signaling to you. It's saying, hey, something's off, pay attention. It's literally your higher self's way of getting you to pay attention to your life and become aligned. That's all it is. And this is why I so strongly believe, and as someone who had the most crippling anxiety in so many aspects and who's had the most crippling DPDR, I solely believe it is a choice, because you can choose to become in line. And a lot of times people will tell you you have something wrong with you. You can't be fixed. You're going to be in this state forever. And this is just who you are. And that's who you claim your identity to. And that's who you stay as. But in order to overcome this, you have to understand this concept. It's literally your higher self calling down to you, saying you need to become in line. So what this means is, it's a sign of misalignment. That's all it is. Anxiety is a sign of misalignment. Your higher self is your inner compass. It knows the future. It knows who you're becoming. It knows your potential. And when your habits, your thoughts, your environment don't match, you feel anxious. So when your habits, your thoughts, and environment aren't in line with this true purpose, with your true potential, you're going to feel anxious. And when you have DPDR, that's an extreme level of this. We're going to be diving into what that means, but truthfully, like, the level of anxiety you have is correlated to how aligned you are. Someone who's fully aligned with their highest self doesn't feel anxious. They don't feel anxiety. Even to this day, I can still feel anxiety if I fall in line, and I do all the time. Like, I'll get worse sleep. I won't like sleep good for a week, or I won't work out because I'm so focused on my work, and I'll start feeling literally anxious again because I'm not in line with my full potential. So not because your brain's broken. Your brain is not broken at all whatsoever, but it's because something is out of sync. So what we are going to be doing is aligning you to become in sync with this person. So some examples of misalignment are poor diet, no exercise, a lack of rest from exercise equals stress. So that could be anxiety in your stress. That could be like bodily anxiety when you have a poor diet, no exercise, lack of rest. That's a sign of misalignment. Negative self-talk. So when you talk to yourself negatively, when the words that you're saying to yourself aren't in line with how you're supposed to be talking to yourself, meaning like if your potential is being a millionaire, if your potential is being this confident person, if your potential is this positive, confident being, and your negative self-talk is completely against that grain, yeah, you're going to have mental chaos. You're going to start overthinking. You're not going to be in line. Same thing goes with toxic people. You know, I used to have a friend group, and I love them to death, but I can't give all of my time to people that aren't in line with my goals. I know I want to be successful, and I know the life I've always wanted to live, and I know what is required. And the toxic people, when you hang out with people that are whether either always drinking, smoking, just talking to you and not supporting you, that's going to drain you. So when it comes to your friends, I want you to look at your life situation and really become aware. Be like, are my friends making me a better person? Are my friends getting me closer to my goals or getting me farther to my goals? And as hard as that is, you need to eliminate the people who don't support you in this life and don't help you get you closer to your goals, or else you're going to feel drained. You're going to have literally energy drain. Messy space. If you have a messy room, that's a sign of misalignment. Your highest self wouldn't have a messy room. Therefore, energy drain. Also, procrastination, avoidance. That causes you to feel stuck. When you avoid something, when you procrastinate, that is literally you delaying you becoming that person. So the highest self, your highest self, the best version of you is watching down from above. He's watching you from the future, and he's looking at you, and he's watching you avoid starting in whatever you're doing. When I wanted to always start my fitness coaching business back in the day, I put that off for a good bit. I put off posting for a good bit. I felt the worst anxiety during that time. Why? Because I wasn't actually taking action for that. So action resolves all anxiety, and it must be applied towards your higher person. And the anxiety will only show up to get you back on track. So as soon as you're back on track, the anxiety dissipates. Therefore, your symptoms will dissipate. And anxiety is like a baby. This is like literally one of my favorite analogies ever. A baby can't tell you what's wrong, so it cries. And a lot of times when the baby cries, you don't know why it's crying. So you have to like maybe feed it, just try to figure it out. And the thing is, anxiety is the same way. It doesn't speak a language. Just like babies can't talk, when babies are crying, if you have a baby and it starts throwing a temper tantrum and it starts crying and you're like, what is going on? Like, why is it crying? You can't just know it from the top of your head. You have to figure it out. You have to try different things. You have to make sure the baby's okay by making sure it's in line. Is it fed? Is the diaper changed? Did it get its sleep? Like, you treat it and then it stops crying. So the thing is, you might feel symptoms like the crying. You might feel a tight chest, racing thoughts, weird tension, but it's your system trying to get your attention. It's literally like the baby crying. Your tight chest is your baby crying. I'm just going over anxiety before we get into the derealization stuff, but you have to understand this concept. The tight chest is literally your baby crying. By fixing the problem, the misalignment, your chest will stop crying. It's the same exact. This analogy changed my life. Now, your role is to be the translator. So you have to figure out what it's saying. You have to figure out what this is saying. This means look at your life. Take a look at your life. Take a perspective look at your life and really, really analyze your life. Saying, what needs am I ignoring? If you ask yourself this question, you will find the answer to why you have been so stressed for however long you've been in this state for. Also ask yourself, like, what feels off? What is not right? Because a lot of times we put things off. We throw it in the subconscious so we have to deal with it later, and that lives with us. What you need to do is realign your habits, your thoughts, and your space to match the person you want to become. Realign those things. And again, your highest self knows every single thing you do. All you need to do is take a good look at your life and figure out what you're ignoring. So here's how we're going to realign with our higher self. Eat well, move daily, rest more. So the health aspect is so important. We need to take good care of ourselves. This means you should cut out all processed food. This doesn't mean every single processed meal you need to cut out. But on the majority of the foods that you're consuming should be making you better. There is no such thing as like a decently good food. If food's either making you a better person, it's getting you closer to your highest self, or it's getting you farther. What you need to pay attention to when you eat is to have more withdrawals than deposits. Meaning, if you want to, or more deposits than withdrawals. Every single time you eat something unhealthy, you're withdrawing. Every single time you eat something healthy, you're depositing money. You can think about it like that. The more you eat healthy, the more money you're going to have. You just need to have more healthy than unhealthy. And you should have a lot more healthy than unhealthy. And that'll stack. Move daily. I'm telling you, we were not meant to sit still and do nothing all day. Even if you work a job, you can still find ways to be active. You can still get your morning cardio in. Move daily. Be active daily. And then also rest more. So for as much work you're doing, you need rest, as in sleep. I wouldn't recommend resting as in laying in your bed scrolling. But rest means get your good quality sleep. Again, to this day, if I overtrain, if I eat like shit, and I don't sleep enough, I'm going to feel anxiety. I am not in line. When it comes to your mindset, affirm your growth and don't dwell. This means always have a growth mindset. Look at every single situation as it's happening for you, not to you. A lot of times we sit there as the effect to things that are happening to us in this life. But truthfully, if you can look at every single situation as a positive, meaning this is happening for me to grow me, not actually just happening to me, I am no longer living as the effect. Because the truth is, guys, if you can look at your situation and realize every single solitary thing in this life is your fault, that is the first step in actually transforming your life in all aspects. So you must take control by realizing that you are the cause of everything. So really, really have that growth mindset. Everything is happening to you. You need to be able to look at your derealization, your anxiety with a perspective of this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Because if it wasn't for this, you would have never became aligned with your true highest self. It's a good thing. So your environment as well. You want to clean up your environment and set boundaries. Meaning the people you surround yourself with. Meaning you need to have a clean room. Meaning everything you do is going to shape you. Ever since the day you were born, every single experience, every single person you talk to has been literally going into your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind picks up on everything. You've been feeding your subconscious mind with negative circumstances or positive, but the negative ones come on for later, and then it eventually goes to your subconscious. That's all you think about in the back of your head. You're going to feel anxiety. So make sure your environment is good. Goals. You need to have goals and purpose. Do things that actually light you up. The more focused you are on a vision and on a goal, the better. Because what I tell a lot of people is, if you don't have clear intention on the person you want to become, everything bad could happen to you and you're not going to get anywhere. But if you can have a vision so anchored in a purpose that is greater than yourself, what will happen is no matter what happens to you, it is ultimately breaking you down and sculpting you into that person. For example, I used to talk about my goals all the time. I always said I want to be successful enough to move to Miami. And I'm about to go a few months from now. Year ago, 2 years ago, that was impossible to even think about. But what happened was, I set that vision in my head and I said I will do whatever it takes. And a lot of times you pray to God, you say, can I have these things? Like, God, can you please let me move to Miami? I was like, God, can you please let me do this? But he doesn't give me what I want right away. No, he gives me what I need to become the person who can go get what I want. So therefore, if I can have my overall goal in my head, situations will happen to me to get me to that goal in ways that I didn't even know. For example, I started fitness coaching. That got me to do derealization coaching, and now I actually love changing lives. And I was doing fitness coaching for the money and to help others, but I also just wanted to make a lot of money. I don't even do this for the money. I do this because I'm actually purpose driven. The money becomes a byproduct. Therefore, it allows me to actually become more successful because I'm not in it for success in that way. It goes to anything. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying, but have a goal, and no matter what happens to you, if you know that goal so much and you really hold it in your head, bad things will start to become good things because it's leading you to that goal. And most importantly, keep showing up even when it's uncomfortable. I say all the time, discomfort is the cure, it's not the enemy. So make sure you push past your edge every single day. If you are uncomfortable every single day, you will be led towards your purpose. So now, what even is DPDR? What is derealization? Right now, derealization might feel like hell. I've been in their shoes. I get it. I understand what it's like. It's the worst. It feels like forever. It sucks. But here's the truth. Depersonalization and derealization can never be permanent as long as you stop giving it power. It's a survival mechanism, and it's your brain saying, this is too much. I can't handle it. Derealization equals disassociation. It's a dissociative effect to high stress or trauma. Depersonalization is disconnected from yourself. When you feel like you're out of body, you disconnected from your thoughts or who you are. You don't even recognize yourself. Things like that, that's depersonalization. Derealization is you disconnected from the world around you. So if I look at my room, I don't recognize my room. The world looks fake. Things look unreal. That's all derealization. Glass wall between me, looking like my life's like a movie. All these things. It's your brain's way of protecting you when you're overwhelmed. Now, how does depersonalization, derealization become a disorder? It becomes a disorder when you start obsessing about it. When you start Googling symptoms, which you've probably done so much, and that's probably why you're even watching this video. When you start doing those things, it becomes obsessive. The thing is, guys, literally 80% of people in this world experience derealization at some point in their life. But for most people, it only lasts a couple minutes, an hour, very short amount of time, and then it wears away. But me and you guys that are watching this video became so hyper obsessed and aware of it, so you started obsessing about it. You started Googling symptoms all day. You started constantly checking if it's still there. And that creates obsession. It's the obsession. And that's what locks it in place. That's what holds it for so long. It's constantly checking, it's Googling symptoms, it's obsessing over it. So the DPDR feedback loop is trigger, hyperfocus, fear, avoidance. These are all the things that keep you in the feedback loop. So I'm going to break down each and every single part. The trigger. The trigger is the stress or panic that you're in. It can come from so many different things. A panic attack, just chronic stress, a breakup is very, very common. Losing a loved one is insanely common. But drugs is probably the most common thing. And a lot of times people are like, wow, I smoked weed and I feel DPDR still. Am I still high? Like, is it still in my system? Right when the drug leaves your system, it leaves your system. So it's not about the drug that caused it. It's not the weed that caused it. It's your reaction to the weed. Mushrooms. It's not the mushrooms that are keeping you permanently tripping. It's your reaction to the mushrooms that's keeping you in the state. So it might feel like it's like you're still high, but you're not actually. But it can come from traumatic experiences, chronic stress, panic attacks, whatever it is. If you have a panic attack from weed, get into derealization. Boom. That's your brain protects you. Your brain will start to protect you by detaching you. It's trying to keep you safe. And the thing is, your brain genuinely thinks it's protecting you. This is a very, very safe thing. It's very, very common that your brain does this. But what happens is we become aware, and we're going to be diving into that in a little bit. So you get that initial trigger. So after you get the trigger, after you have the panic attack, after you have whatever trauma that triggers it, you start to feel detached. So you start checking in. Do I still feel it? Why do I feel like this? Will I ever feel normal again? Is this going to be forever? How long is this state going to be in? What if this? What if that? What if I'm still high? What if I'm going to lose my mind. What if I disappear? There's so many different things you could tell yourself. But this overthinking fuels the flames. It fuels the fire and keeps you in the state. So what happens after that is your prefrontal cortex, during this time, your prefrontal cortex goes into overdrive. And you become hyper aware of every single sensation, which makes everything feel scarier than it is. You are in that overdriven state, and you become hyper aware because it thinks it's protecting you. So you're always going to be analyzing. And the next stage is fear. Fear will start to kick in, and that fear can sound like many things. But most times when you're scared of it, you have the fear of going insane. You have the fear of being like this for the rest of your life. You feel like no one else gets you. You feel like you're just going to be in this over and over and over again. You start regretting things. The fear just starts to grow. What happens when the fear comes on is your amygdala, which is your fear center, it lights up. And it keeps you in fight or flight. It keeps you in this state. If you have a lion, you're fighting a lion, it's going to be your fight or flight state that triggers you to escape the lion. But you becoming scared of the feeling is what keeps you in this state. Literally up to 80% of people in this world experience DPDR, but for most people it's like a couple minutes, an hour, a day. It's very, very short acting, and then it goes away because it's your actual defense mechanism. The problem is, we become so aware of it. I became aware of it. I became scared of it because I was super over analyzing every single thing that was happening to me. But a lot of times people will smoke weed, and you can call it a weed hanger. It's like weed hangover. It's like the next day after you smoke. A lot of times people get that, and it goes away after like one day. But there's also a lot of people who get terrified because they feel like they're still high. Those are the people that get DPDR. You get me? Then you have avoidance. This is after you're scared, after you get the fear. You reinforce the fear by avoiding different things. This could be avoiding people. You isolate yourself. You don't go out. You don't talk to people because you feel uncomfortable. This could be avoiding places. You don't want to go out. You don't want to go to work anymore. You stop working because you feel like you need to recover first. This could be avoiding driving. You're scared of driving. Going on a plane, you're scared of that. Like, avoiding things because you're scared of what could potentially happen. And what happens is the activity you used to love doing, you avoid. Your brain now believes DPDR is dangerous because you're not doing what you normally would do. You're avoiding something. You're misaligned. And every time you avoid something, you confirm that that fear is valid. Every single time you Google, you avoid whatever it is, every single time you do any of these steps, you are reaffirming to yourself that the defensive mechanism is actually keeping you alive. Your fight or flight genuinely thinks it's protecting you, and it's kept you alive for however long you've been in this state. So the loop that keeps you stuck is you get the trigger. The trigger comes on. You're like, holy shit, what is happening to me? Why is this going on? So the loop that keeps you stuck is you first get the initial trigger. This is the thing that causes it. The weed, the stress, the whatever trigger. I went over a bunch of examples. It could be so many more things, but you're just triggered from a high state of stress. What happens is the DPDR comes on from that trigger. You become obsessed with the symptoms. Fear comes about, and when you're scared of everything, you avoid things. Avoiding the things makes this repeat, so you get the trigger again. You become obsessed. What we need to do is break that loop, and that's how we're going to heal. And that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you in later YouTube videos. This is the first stage, and this is learning about it. Why it's so important to learn about DPDR and understand DPDR and anxiety and what's going on is because if you don't know what is happening to you, you're going to be scared. So the first thing we need to do before we can even rewire our brain to actually overcome it is understanding to a T what is going on so we no longer feed into the fear, which is the first stage of that feedback loop. We need to not be scared of it. So this is why this educational video is so valid. You have the power to rewire your brain and reconnect your life one step at a time. So we're going to get into it. Make sure you guys stay tuned on my YouTube for the next educational video where I go into actually how to rewire your brain. But this is a lot of education that will help you out so much. With that being said, you guys can follow the link in my description if you want to follow me on Instagram. You can connect on there and hopefully work towards a full recovery. If not, you guys are all in the right direction. We're all in this together. If you have DPDR right now, it doesn't matter how bad it is. Just you conceiving and believing that there is a version of yourself that is recovered is living proof within itself that you can and you will recover. So I'm proud of you guys for taking this step, actually clicking on this video and making it this far. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.